Hey community, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, I'm Dr. Blaire, a doc in clinical psychology. And on this channel, we discuss psychology, inspiration, social justice, and all topics in between. First things first, hit that subscribe and bell button. You know I want to see you back next week. And of course, stay tuned because I have new content for you. Keep watching. All right, so let's jump into it. Last week, and I'm just to let you know, I'm recording all of this in the same session. So the last episode, we talked about the influence of the poor quality of air on our mental health. And this time I want to talk about the experience of a lack of a summer. I can't say this for all areas in the US, but I can say in Chicago, we've experienced some things that's a little different than what we normally see. We don't normally see heavy rains to the extent that we have seen so frequently during the summertime. I know that, we see showers typically during the springtime, and some Chicagoans say we don't have 4 seasons. We have 2, hot and cold, which in some ways is kind of true because our cold season is very long. Let's not talk about that. But if you are in an area that has experienced some weather that is a smidge odd than others, I think, or a smidge odd than other summers is what I'm trying to say, then I think it's really important that we have a conversation about how the lack of a summer can influence your mental health. And this is to be preventative, but also to think about postvention. What are things that we can be doing in response to the things that we're experiencing or that we even might experience? And so, as you know, when I take a glance down, I'm looking at my notes. I'm not disconnecting from y'all. I'm just taking a look at my notes. So let's take a look. With this lack of common summer experiences, it might feel like to your brain that you have had a prolonged winter if you have never had a break from the previous season to the next. Now that long winter or a longer winter might feel like that for Chicagoans, even though we've had a break in weather. If the summertime ends when it usually ends and then winter starts when it usually starts, then it might feel like the winter time was much longer than it usually is. That could gravely impact your mental health in various ways. We'll talk about that soon. The same to be said for having no break from whatever the previous season is in your particular area. And so then it could feel like that your hibernation period for a lot of people during cooler weather or cooler seasons of the year, they spend more time at home or they spend more time inside. And so it might throw off your biological, even your psychological cadence, your timeline or rhythm of when you are to expect certain things or experience certain type of activities during certain times and periods of the year. When all of that kind of gets thrown off, which we probably all are familiar with the pandemic, which threw all of us off. And I believe that many of us are still feeling a little off kilter from that entire year because most of us were shut in and we weren't able to experience life the way that we were accustomed to. Well, seeing as that life probably hasn't and probably won't really fully return to the way things were beforehand, people are still working on and learning to adjust. So now we are here in 2023 when the weather is yet still not quite matching up. This is probably something that I shouldn't even say probably, we will likely see more of this through the future. I'll say it that way. Where weather isn't quite adding up. We see this biblically, and next week I'm going to talk about how science actually ties into this. Again, I'm not necessarily that type of scientist, more of a social scientist, but I have done some research and I want to share with you also that you can prepare and not necessarily respond out of fear or, but instead so that you can have information and utilize it for you to make adjustments in your life so that you and your household, y'all are all right. Okay. So how is it that a prolonged winter, an extended hibernation period, and having no break throw off your mental health? It is essentially that when you have established a baseline of what you are to expect in life and then you don't experience that, and that baseline has been met so many years after one another, and then you don't experience it, what then happens when you don't experience what you thought you were going to experience? It's a surprise. It's like, whoa, what do I do? And you are drawn back. You need an adjustment period just to adjust to the thing that has already adjusted before you knew it was going to adjust. Hope you follow that. Now, if that is the case, sure, there's an array of emotional responses that you might experience. Let's not get into that because every person is different. But let's instead think about whatever problem or response that you might have. You have to counter it with a solution. Here are some solutions. It's really important that if you are experiencing uncommon weather, the way that we are seeing this summer, that you then enjoy the days that actually look like summer. It's really important that you enjoy the summer weather when it is present. So that means leaving the hibernation, doing things that are opposite. Now I'm actually teaching and preaching to myself, because anybody who knows me knows I'm an introvert and I enjoy being home, but it is actually work for me to have to make sure that I'm countering the things that we're experiencing so that it doesn't negatively influence my mental and physical health and my overall wellness. And so I have to push myself to a place where I'm out and I'm enjoying the summer weather, that I am leaving hibernation and I'm engaging in usual or expected summer activities. I hope all of this is making sense and that you all are taking notes. So my question to you is, what are those types of things that you usually do during the summertime, or that you expect to do during the summertime? And what is your plan or scheduled plan, your commitment to following through on those things that you need to do? The same thing for yourself and the same thing for youth, because it's really important that we all find a way to break those patterns. So if you're feeling like you're not getting a break in the weather, when the weather does break, you have to break the behavior that is connected to a non-weathered break. Hope that makes sense. If you're not experiencing a break in your season, and then when you experience it, when you see a break in the season, whatever behaviors you did over here during what is feeling like a hibernation, you have to do the opposite over here so that you are experiencing the break in multiple places. It's a level of consistency, it's a level of cohesion, and it's a level of alignment so that these things match. It's really important because it will have a positive impact on your mental health instead of negative. Okay? So put all of this to use and meet me in the chat, in the comments, if you have thought of what you're going to do. For me, I'll throw it out here. I started off. My thing is to travel when I'm able to, and to go to summer festivals outside. I went to celebrate Juneteenth outside a few times when it came around. And I'll be going to different festivals throughout the summer here in Chicago and other areas. What are you going to be doing? Okay. Now, before you go, let me give you an announcement. I said this the last episode and the episode before. I'm going to say it again. Save the date for the Battlefield Conference. It will be here November 11, 2023, here in Chicago. One-day conference where we're going to be working on our mental and spiritual health, specifically to help people release, because this is the place where you release, reclaim, and reestablish your justice for your mind, your body, soul, spirit, and more. And so we have to actually focus on the tactics that are needed for mental and spiritual health. I'm expecting and looking forward to seeing you there. Some of you might be returning, some of you might be your first time coming, but be sure that you also invite someone else to join you for the day. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your community, and be sure to share with someone specific who needs to hear a bit more about how the weather impacts our mental health. And of course, remember, before you go and I see you next time, if I'm great and you're great, then we're a great community.